And I'm joined now by Democratic Congressman from Illinois and member of the House Intelligence Committee, Krishnamoorthi. And Congressman, your colleagues on the House and Senate Intel had strong reactions yesterday after receiving an Intel briefing on the war. Can you characterize what you heard, and also if you have any immediate reaction to what we just heard from the president right now?
Well, I think what the president conveyed echoes the sentiments of a lot of us. And I'm glad that he made the remarks that he did. As for what happened yesterday, I think all of us are still shaken by just the sheer brutality and savagery with which Hamas attacked so many innocent civilians and others. The president alluded to the beheadings, the rapes, the shootings, the murder of innocent people in their homes as they were filming these murders. Also goes to the fact that they are trying to inculcate a sense of fear among everyone in Israel and elsewhere. And so I think that we have to kind of band together as a civilized world and deal with this situation and help the Israelis as they respond and to prevent further attacks.
And Congressman, this has been framed as a failure of both Israeli and U.S. intelligence. As a member of the Intelligence Committee, are you confident that the intelligence community has a handle on current threats?
I think they're working on it, but I am very concerned because there were oversights, to say the least. And I think that at this point we have to go back and figure out what those holes are with regard to our collection of intelligence, and then using lessons learned from that, apply it going forward so that we can at least start to anticipate what's about to happen next. It's very crucial at this point that we also work with our partners, friends, and allies around the world, because many of them also have collection efforts with regard to Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, and others.
And Congressman, did you receive any information about how exactly this was allowed to happen?
No, and I think those are some questions that we still need more detailed answers to, and we're expecting further detailed briefings. Right now, we are also trying to think about what is it that Israel requires in the days and weeks ahead. Of course, what's happening right now in Congress doesn't help matters. I think there's a little bit of chaos in the other caucus, and that is slowing things down with regard to further deliberations.
And Congressman, what's the latest information you have about those Americans that are still unaccounted for?
Well, two of them actually come from the Chicago area, and so we are very concerned about their whereabouts, of course, the whereabouts of all these others, and of course the hostages themselves, regardless of where they come from, because they're being used as pawns, as you know. And many of them are just little kids, they're toddlers. Many of them are very elderly. Many of them the vast majority of them are innocent civilians and not soldiers, not wearing a uniform of any kind. Not that anybody should be taken hostage, but this is a situation where our hearts go out to their families, and we in the U.S. government have to do everything we can to help the Israelis in identifying where these hostages are, who they are, and providing any and all assistance to try to retrieve them and rescue them ASAP.
And Congressman, we understand the White House is preparing an aid request that covers Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. So should aid to Israel be packaged with other military aid?
Well, they're separate issues, but on the other hand, all three of those regions are priorities right now, as you know. And so I suspect during the legislative process, there are going to be different permutations of how this comes about, but I think all three of those need to be funded. As the ranking member of the Special Select Committee with regard to the Chinese Communist Party, I can say that we should not forget about Taiwan's needs, even at the same time we're dealing with the other two, although Israel is very pressing this moment, as well as Ukraine.
Well, Congressman, you said that they should all be funded, but the question was, should they be packaged together?
I'm going to let the leadership handle that, because I don't know exactly how they're going to be tied together. It could be that a portion of the funding for each of those priorities needs to needs to be tied together from a timing perspective. At the end of the day, I think a lot of it is going to be negotiated at the same time, along with government funding, quite frankly. And so we've got to do all of those things simultaneously.
And Congressman, would you support U.S. forces going in if it meant the return of American hostages?
I don't know. I have to look at the specific scenario. Obviously, the Israelis are on the ground right now. We should provide any and all assistance to them as they try to retrieve hostages. And that might mean intelligence. That might mean other technical means of helping them. But I need to see the exact scenario before I could comment further.
And Congressman, new NBC News reporting today reveals that the U.S. is investigating whether Iran gave training to some Hamas militants. Does U.S. posture towards Iran need to change in the wake of this attack?
Well, I think that Iran is broadly complicit in what's happened right now. I have not seen specific evidence that they directed what has been carried out. I don't know. I haven't seen intelligence with regard to the issue that you just raised about training for this particular attack. But our posture has to be one of vigilance with regard to Iran. They are a bad actor in the region. They fund Hezbollah. They fund Hamas. They fund other proxies that go after our interests as well as innocents, and we have to view them as such.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for being here at this hour.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.